Earth woke up to an ordinary morning, but the universe had already decided it would not be ordinary. People were leaving for work, children were preparing for school, and news channels were repeating their usual stories. No one knew that everything would change in just a few seconds. Rian Hale, young officer working for Earth's Defense Council, sat at his desk in the central control tower. He was reviewing reports about increased pirate activity near Mars when something strange happened. All screens in the tower flickered at the same time. Lights dimmed. Communications froze. The global surveillance system suddenly went silent. Rian stood up, confused. "What is going on?" He asked the technicians. No one had an answer. Then it happened. Every screen in every home, every building, every ship, and every street flashed bright blue. A massive symbol appeared, an imperial crest that no one on Earth had seen before. And then, a cold voice echoed across the entire planet. "Humans of Earth, you will kneel before the Empire or face extinction." The message repeated again and again in every human language. It shook people to their core. Mothers hugged their children, old men froze in fear, and soldiers around the world rushed to their posts. Earth had faced threats before, but nothing like this. This message was not a warning. It was a promise. Inside the Defense Council tower, Rian watched the message with a sinking heart. The voice was calm, confident, and filled with something worse than anger certainty. Whoever this empire was, they fully believed Earth would surrender, before anyone could react. Hundreds of red dots appeared on the main screen. Empire ships. Large, dark, triangular ships entering the solar system without permission and without fear. They moved like predators who knew their prey could not escape. The technicians panicked. "They are moving fast. We cannot stop them." Another officer looked at Rian. "What do we do? Earth has nothing strong enough to fight that kind of fleet." Rian did not answer. He just stared at the screen. The Empire's ships spread out like a net, surrounding the solar system. They were positioning themselves to strike. The message repeated again: "Surrender, or be erased." People all over Earth felt helpless. But inside a hidden room deep under the Defense Council tower, a meeting was happening. Only 5 people in the world knew about it. Rian was called into that meeting when he entered. He found Council Commander Eris, a stern woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. She stood in front of a huge holographic display showing the Empire fleet. "Rian," she said calmly, "you know what this means?" Yes, Rian replied quietly. "Earth cannot fight them." Eris nodded. "But Earth does not have to fight alone." Rian frowned. He knew Earth had allies among small colonies, but none strong enough to scare an empire like this. "Do we have support?" Eris looked at him with intense eyes. "We have something far better." She pressed a small button on her wrist. The wall behind her opened, revealing a narrow elevator shaft leading deep underground. Rian felt his heart race. He had heard rumors of a secret project, but he never believed they were true. "Come," Eris said. "You need to see this." The elevator carried them down for a long time, too long. It went deeper than any known military level. When it finally stopped, the doors opened to a massive underground valley. It was larger than any factory, any bunker, any base Rian had ever seen, and it was filled with silence. Rows upon rows of tall, armored figures stood motionless, like statues, thousands of them. Their armor was dark, smooth, and glowing faintly with blue lines. Their helmets had a single vertical visor that pulsed slowly like a sleeping heartbeat. Rian stepped forward. Who are they?" Eris walked past him. "They are humanity's true army. Built in secret long before you were born. They were made for one purpose, to defend Earth when all hope is gone." Rian stared at the soldiers. They looked ancient yet advanced, powerful yet calm. Why were they never used? "Because activating them means Earth is in its final crisis," Eris replied. "And today, that crisis has come." Before Rian could speak, alarms sounded from above. Empire ships had arrived near the moon. They were preparing their first strike. Eris turned to Rian. "You were chosen to awaken them, me." He stepped back, shocked. I am not a commander. I am just an officer. Aris placed a hand on his shoulder. You are calm when others panic. You make decisions fast. You do not run. That is why. She handed him a small black device with a glowing red key in the center. This will awaken the Legion. Rien felt the weight of history in his hands. Awakening them meant changing the fate of Earth forever. He took a deep breath. The ground above shook as the Empire started charging their weapons. Time was almost gone. Rien inserted the key into a control port. Lights rippled across the entire chamber. The armored soldiers began to glow brighter. Then, one by one, their visors lit up with a sharp blue light. Their eyes were opening, a deep mechanical voice spoke through the chamber. Legion. Online, Rien stepped back as thousands of soldiers took their first breath in centuries. Their armor adjusted. Their weapons unfolded. Energy cores ignited inside their chests. Far above, Empire ships detected a massive power spike from Earth. Their scanners, confused, marked it as impossible. Eris whispered, They think Earth is weak. They think we will kneel, but they have never seen the Legion. The entire chamber vibrated as the soldiers took their first synchronized step forward. Rien looked up at them, fear turning into courage. Let us show the Empire who humans really are. And with that, Earth's true army finally awakened. Asterisk, when the Legion awakened, the underground chamber shook with power that Earth had forgotten it once possessed. Rien watched the thousands of armored soldiers march toward the surface elevators. Every step sounded like thunder. Every movement carried purpose, strength, and silent confidence. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were the product of ancient science and forgotten human genius. As the elevators carried the Legion upward, Rien and Commander Eris returned to the control tower. The moment they reached the command floor, alarms were screaming. Officers ran across the room, screens flashed red, and the giant planetary map showed incoming fire. The Empire is charging their weapons. A technician shouted. Eris stepped forward. How long until impact? 2 minutes. Rien looked at the display, feeling a knot in his stomach. Empire ships were powerful. Their weapons could break mountains. Entire cities could fall with one volley. Earth's normal defenses would not last. But Earth was no longer using normal defenses. Eris activated the strategic holoscreen. Open the Legion launch gates. A deep, mechanical rumble echoed across the planet as huge metal doors opened in hidden locations inside deserts. Under oceans, beneath mountains, below old abandoned cities. Humanity had prepared for this day for generations, and today the doors finally opened. Bright blue engines ignited. The Legion soldiers rose into the sky like glowing comets, leaving trails of light behind them. Thousands launched at once. Earth's skies looked like they were filled with stars taking flight. The Empire ships, already positioned above the moon, scanned the sudden energy movement. Inside the Empire flagship, Commander Vorak stared at the readings with confusion. His red-skinned face tightened. His species prided themselves on knowing every enemy's strength, but this was something new. What is this energy? Vorak demanded. His officers shook their heads. Unknown, Commander? It does not match any human weapon. It does not match any weapon in the galaxy. Vorak narrowed his eyes. Are they getting help from another species? No, sir. This power, it is coming from Earth. Vorak stood frozen for a moment. Then he laughed coldly. Let them try. Humans are dust. They have nothing we fear. He raised his hand. Begin the attack. But before the Empire ships could fire, something incredible happened. The Legion arrived. Thousands of bright blue lights shot past the moon like a swarm of lightning. They moved too fast for scanners to track. They broke into formation in perfect silence. The Empire ships tried to lock onto them, but their systems froze. Their targeting software crashed. Rien watched from the control tower as the Legion formed a massive shield, shape and space of formation so perfect. that even advanced AI would struggle to execute it. Eris whispered. They're even stronger than I expected. The Empire ships fired first. Giant beams of red energy shot toward the Legion, shaking space with their power. Explosions lit up the darkness, but the Legion did not fall. Instead, they moved like water, smooth, fast, impossible to follow. They opened their arm cannons and fired beams of concentrated blue light. The beams pierced through Empire shields like they were paper. The first Empire cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash. Inside the Empire flagship, panic broke out. How are they doing this? An officer yelled. Vorak slammed his fist into the command table. This is impossible. Humans cannot create soldiers like these. But they already had. Rian watched the battle on every screen. His heart raced, not with fear, but with pride. The Legion moved with perfect coordination. They dodged enemy fire. They split into groups. They struck weak points that even expert commanders would not see. It was like they were reading the enemy's mind. Eris explained softly. Each Legion soldier carries ancient Terran combat algorithms. They adapt instantly to enemy strategy. They learn every second. That is why they cannot be outsmarted. Another Empire cruiser was destroyed. Then another, then 3 more. The Empire fleet, which had arrived with confidence, was now scattering in confusion. Their formation fell apart. Their commanders shouted over each other. Fear spread like wildfire. Vorak realized the truth too late. This is not an army, he whispered. This is a force designed to destroy empires. Back on Earth, people across the planet watched the live broadcast. News networks showed the Legion tearing through the Empire like unstoppable shadows. Children cheered. Adults cried. Some knelt not in defeat, but in relief. For the first time in history, humanity saw their own strength. Rian received a report. Officer. Empire reinforcements arriving from the outer system. Aris responded instantly. Send Legion Group 4 to intercept. Legion Group 4 launched from Antarctica, leaving a massive sonic boom behind them. They shot into space like a spear aimed at new enemy fleets. Rian watched the battle grow larger. More Empire ships. More Legion forces rising to meet them. It looked like a storm of light and fire. But one thing was clear. The Empire was losing. Vorak gave the order to fall back. Retreat. Retreat to the dark side of the moon. We need distance. But the Legion followed. They surrounded the Empire flagship. They cut off every escape route. They blocked every warp corridor. A single Legion commander stepped forward, floating silently in space. His visor glowed bright blue. Vorak stared at him through the window of his ship. It felt like staring into the eyes of a god of war. The Legion commander spoke through an amplified channel. His voice calm and powerful. You threatened Earth. That was your last mistake. Vorak trembled. He had never felt fear like this, and for the first time in the Empire's long and brutal history, they realized attacking humanity was not just dangerous, it was suicidal. Asterisk, the Empire flagship floated in silence, surrounded on all sides by the Legion. What began as a confident invasion had turned into a nightmare the Empire never expected. Their strongest ships were burning wrecks drifting in space. Their elite warriors were gone. Their commanders could not understand how Earth, a planet they believed was weak, had unleashed such unstoppable power inside the flagship. Commander Vorak stood frozen. His hands shook. His officers waited for orders, but his mind was blank. He had led countless victories across the galaxy, but this time he could not even speak. The glowing blue eyes of the Legion soldier outside the window stared straight into him, as if reading every fearful thought in his head. On Earth, the Defense Council Tower was filled with controlled chaos. Officers shouted updates, screens flickered with battle imagery, and alarms beeped nonstop. But Rian noticed something different. Now people were not panicking. Their voices were confident. Their movements were steady. Even the newest recruits stood tall. For the first time in history, humanity was fighting without fear. Eris walked to Rian's side. This is the moment, she said. The Empire will try one last attack, They always do. Her prediction came true within seconds. A massive red pulse erupted from the Empire flagship. It spread across space like a burning wave. It pushed Legion soldiers back by several meters. It cracked asteroids and shook the moon's surface. Rian grabbed the table. "What was that?" Eris replied calmly. "Their emergency weapon. The Starbreaker pulse. It drains everything around it." "Will it stop the Legion?" Eris shook her head. "No. It will only make them angry." In space, the Legion paused for a moment. Their blue lights flickered, then stabilized. The pulse had only delayed them, not defeated them. The Legion commander raised his arm. Waves of blue energy flowed from his armor, recharging every soldier instantly. Then the Legion attacked in perfect unity. Thousands of blue trails cut through space, weaving and circling around the flagship like a storm of living stars. They fired synchronized beams that sliced through shields, armor, and engines. The Empire ship groaned under the pressure, metal bending and cracking. Inside the flagship, Vorak screamed, "Return fire! Use everything!" But nothing worked. Lasers bounced off Legion armor. Missiles exploded before reaching their targets. Autoguns overheated. The Empire flagship was being dismantled piece by piece. One of Vorak's officers turned to him, voice shaking. "Commander, please. Give the order to retreat. We cannot win." Vorak stared at the battle and felt a weight settle in his chest. This was not just a defeat. It was humiliation. The mighty Empire, ruler of countless worlds, is being crushed by a species they once called primitive. The flagship shook violently as another explosion tore through its right wing. Smoke filled the bridge. Officers fell to the ground. Screens shattered. Finally, Vorak whispered the words he never thought he would say. "Retreat." But it was too late. The Legion commander floated in front of the flagship window, his visor shining bright. He raised his arm again. A deep hum filled space, and a powerful energy wave formed around him. This was not an attack. This was judgment. A beam of blue energy shot forward, hitting the flagship directly. It tore through the hull like a blade through cloth. The ship split open, and flames burst from every side. Escape pods launched in panic, scattering like frightened insects. But the Legion did not chase them. They had a different mission. On Earth, Rian received the final transmission. "Sir, the Empire flagship has been neutralized. The attackers are retreating." Rian let out a breath he had been holding for hours. The entire command center erupted in cheers. Officers clapped, hugged, cried, and shouted victory. The fear that once gripped Earth was gone. It had been replaced by something deeper, pride. Aris spoke softly, but her voice carried strength. "Earth stands today because humanity never gave up on itself." Rian looked at her. "What happens now?" Eris turned toward the giant display where the Legion was returning to Earth in disciplined formation. "Now," she said, "we show the galaxy who humans truly are." The Legion landed across the planet. Their arrival was met with awe. People flooded the streets, watching the armored soldiers pass like ancient guardians returning home. Children waved flags. Families cried tears of relief. Some reached out to touch the Legion armor, amazed that such power had slept beneath their feet for generations. Rian visited one of the landing sites. As he approached a Legion soldier, the massive armored figure turned toward him. Its visor glowed calmly. "Officer Rian Hale," the soldier spoke. "Your command awakened us. Humanity is safe." Rian felt proud, but also humbled. "We did this together," the soldier nodded. "Together, humanity is unstoppable." In space, the Empire fleet regrouped far beyond the moon's orbit. Their ships were damaged, spirits crushed. They sent a final message to Earth. It was not a threat. It was not a demand. It was a plea. "Earth, we request negotiations. We seek peace." Rian smiled as he read it. The Empire, once feared by countless species, now feared humanity more than anything else. Eris placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is only the beginning. Now the galaxy knows humans do not kneel." The Legion took their place as Earth's protectors, standing watch over the planet with silent honor. Humanity was no longer seen as weak. They were no longer prey. They had risen stronger than anyone imagined. Earth had awakened its true army, and from that day forward, the Empire trembled every time they saw a blue light in the dark.